Hey everybody, today is Saturday, September 9th, 2023 in beautiful San Diego, California, and I'm Captain Perry here with you. If you're new to the channel, behind me here is a Scow Bow Mini-Cruiser that I'm building. Basically, my mission here is to build a strong, trailerable, 14-foot sailboat that's watertight and custom built to cross oceans. Now what I'm going to be working on in this video is basically all the last work I need to do before the starboard side goes on, essentially enclosing the hull and making it much more difficult for me to get inside. So I just want to get as much done inside the cabin as I can before the hull is closed up. So that includes installing that frame C6 you saw me make the template for in the end of the last video, a little reinforcing on the main bulkhead or frame C5, and a little more stuff on the port side that I'll show you coming up. And I want to mention that I have that goal to get to 10,000 subscribers, so please, if you're not already, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, help me get there. Alright guys, let's get to work. To start things off, this is the template I made for frame C6 at the end of the last video. If it's a small panel like this, I do like to try and make it out of scraps, since the foam is kind of expensive. Might as well get your money's worth, right? It's a little panel, so pretty easy to piece together from scraps. With a quick dry fit, I can see it looks like it will fit perfectly, so I go ahead and fiberglass it. Here at the main bulkhead, frame C5, I'm adding 2 more layers of 6-ounce cloth on the starboard side from the hull bottom to the very top. I add 3 holes reinforced with thickened epoxy using the drill-fill-drill method. These will secure an electrical box to the bulkhead to hold components like the fuse box and the switch panel. Bulkhead space is pretty limited, so I had to make the box pretty compact and plan out where things will go ahead of time. If there are additional things to add, it'll be no problem to mount them nearby on the bulkhead. Here you can see the 1/4-inch holes drilled, and it's pretty much ready for the box to be installed once painting is done. Jumping back to frame C6, with the panel trimmed and epoxied in place, it's time to fiberglass it in at the top and bottom. Okay, so not only is C6 attached now, I also set up a little epoxy workstation inside the boat, and I got this section from the mainframe C5 over to C4 all fiberglassed on. And the reason just that bottom part wasn't done is because when I attached the port side, if you watch the video, I had to lean over from the top to fiberglass it on, and that's as far as I could reach. And now I climbed in and finished the job on the bottom. Well, sorry I couldn't film the fiberglass work last night in here. It's a little bit tight angles to try and get a good view without my body blocking the shot. And next I'm going to do this area between, what is this, C4 and C3 in there. That's the last part that needs to be done on there. But this was kind of the first thing that caused me to actually come sit inside the boat, especially now that the cabin sole's done and I have somewhere to sit. So I'll give you a look at what my view is in here. So here's the view for me, looking forward. And standing up straight at eye level, I'll have a dead light here and a dead light here. And if you don't know, a dead light is basically just like a port light or a window, but it doesn't open. So technically it's called a dead light. And then another one will be here and one here. And then I'll be able to look out the back there. And then the doghouse is up here. So with a little bit of an elevated seat, I can sit looking right out the doghouse, dead lights. And someone else mentioned I should show what it looks like laying down in here, so let's try that. Because this is where I'm going to be sleeping for many, many days. Yeah, I've got full length. I'm 6'1", and I've still got, let's see, if I put my heels against the bottom, frame C2, probably got 6 or 7 inches here. Not bad. With a little camping mattress, it'll be pretty comfortable. Now it's time to fiberglass this section from frame C4 to C3 inside the storage compartment. I add fillets in all the corners, then a couple hours later I come back and add a layer of slightly thickened epoxy to the work area. Next I add on layers of 1708 and some 6-ounce cloth for the smaller frame in the middle there. Forward of frame C3, the sides were low enough that I could fiberglass everything from the top by just leaning over the side. Finally, at the end, I can add on the peel ply.
Tall as the boat.
See, this is our own table.
Where's the shower?
Shower up here.
While fiberglassing down here between frame C3 and C4, I also added 2 more of these tie-down holes. One there and one here in frame C2. And then I also added 2 in frame C6. So there was already one here. I added one here and one up here. And between all these tie-down holes, you see, I can make a web of tie-downs to hold in the closed plastic bottles for buoyancy. And back there, all the tie-downs will just keep gear secured. Moving on to the next item, I have to make a couple cabin sole panels for the port side outboard. One of these panels will cover a space I want to access for storage, so here I'm making a round hatch cover out of 3 layers of thin plywood I had on hand. I wanted one centered hole, but somehow I managed to measure wrong. Well, instead of starting all over again, I'm just going to add another off-center hole and turn it into a slot. Now I need to fiberglass these 2 cabin sole panels. This is my method for fiberglassing 2 sides at once. I make one edge of the foam rounded, add heavy 1708 cloth, then 6-ounce cloth followed by peel ply. I then flip the project over and fold each layer over onto the panel one by one, with epoxy added to each layer, of course. Finally, I cover it in plastic and add a little weight. This is the hole to match that round hatch cover I made. Next, I need to make a slot for a strap that will pass through the cabin sole. This is for one of 3 lap belts that will be part of my lee claw, keeping me secure when I sleep in rough seas. You can check them out in episode 48 if you're curious. After some trimming, I do one last dry fit, and you can see here where these pieces go. Now I add some white paint to the surfaces that will be inside the compartment. Once I epoxy everything closed, it will become much more difficult to paint in there. After 24 hours, I add a second coat. While epoxying the cabin sole, I also added 4 more of these tie-down mounts.
OCSS-062 Sailboat.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for this one. I'm so glad to have that port outboard side of the cabin sole all done and painted, because now that means everything I wanted to do inside the cabin for now is done, and I can go ahead and make the starboard side of the hull and close that up for the next video. So that'll be kind of my whiskey plank, the last plank of the hull, because it's all one big piece. So of course I'm looking forward to that going on. A massive thank you to everyone for watching, and especially those who choose to support through Patreon and the Amazon wish list. Those Patreon supporters get to watch one day in advance. Alright guys, that's it for this one. I will see you next time.
Just 1 hour to make all preparations. We're getting underway.
Hey, what's your name, buddy?
Home.
Come and get back to your station, or I'll have you shot from your ear!
Well, shoot something!